For the by-elections that's taking place tomorrow, hundreds of people are heading to the polls tomorrow, but there's over 23,000 people that have been granted special votes today. So we want to know, what's with regards to special votes taking place around the country, and as we head to these by-elections tomorrow, what do you hope for in terms of your municipality? What's going on there? What sort of issues are you going through? Service delivery issues. As I said, we're building up to the local government elections next year, but these by-elections are taking place because we couldn't have them from I think it was March this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But what sort of issues are on the ground that you're grappling with as a community? Send us your thoughts at the agenda_SABC. We have a few. Let's take a look at what you have to say in this regard. Kolani says, I'm worried about their safety measures as they'll also be visiting those that are quarantined. And Khasa says, Salachani Bad Bakwetu, I don't have any hope to by-elections because our sisters, brothers, mothers and fathers will choose corrupt ANC because they were given food parcel. Let's vote ANC out of power, says the Khasa. All right, we do appreciate your thoughts at the agenda_SABC. Let's continue with regards to what sort of issues are on the ground and bring back Sakina Kamwendo. She's in the Emfuleni Municipality talking about a number of issues there. Sakina, very good morning to you once again.
Good morning. Thanks, Blaine. And as you say, the issues are many. They are varied, and we are now communicating and taking it to the floor, to the community members, where they get to pose their questions, because part of this process is facilitating this dialogue between the community and, of course, the leadership in Emfuleni Municipality. So please just identify yourself as we come to the floor. Please ask that question as sharply as you can, and then a short response from the panel as well. And if you've just joined us, the Executive Mayor of Emfuleni, Mr. Gift Mwerane, as well as Administrator Silas Zimu with us here to answer some of these questions. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is that I'm from, my name is Mapila Flora Ramkhopa. I'm from a DA ward, DA-led ward in Ward 16. Okay, it's Valdrift, Rastafal. There's a new squatter camp, we call it Ramaphosa. I think you know about it. Okay, in 2016-15 IDP, there was a budget of 6 million, and we were expecting 3.5 units, RDPs. What happened to the money? As well, from the Valdrift perspective, we do not have a church in my area. For me, it's a problem. We don't have any recreation facilities. We've got kids that are taking drugs during the day and nothing is happening. There's no there's a lot of young people that are unemployed. So I'd like to know, what is your plans for the whole ward, including Ramaphosa? And there's also a rumor that says that I think the DA, they're going to take the toilets that the municipality is currently supplying the residents of Ramaphosa. You're also going to take the water tanks. So I'd like to know, how true is that, and why would you do something like that during COVID? Why would you put our community under such stress during these times? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
I think let me start with the last one on the basic services. You remember when the president and the minister of COGTA made a pronouncement on Disaster Act. One of the actually conditions which were put forward for municipalities that we cannot actually evict people during this time. We should provide people basic services, water and so on. And I think I'm happy that you said we did as a municipality, because we were expected by the Disaster Act that we should do that. So about the latest developments that those things are going to be removed, I cannot comment because I've not received it. It's the first time I hear that that's going to happen. So you then ask about the social amenities in your areas that we have mentioned, churches, other recreational facilities. The reality of the matter is that the budget, as I've indicated, this municipality to work effectively, it should work with a budget of around 6 billion rand. And promises is where actually I agreed with the Premier for the first time when he said we must now review the way we are doing the IDPs. Because IDPs is like actually a shopping list. You say, let's go and do this and this, knowing that you are not going to meet those needs. Actually, you are going to run short of the resources. So that's why last year, when I sent the teams before the IDP meetings, I said, listen first to what the people want and prioritize items that you think we can do in the current financial year.
So are you saying, Mr. Mayor, that IDP shopping list, when you promised those RDP housing units, you actually lied to the people because there was no money and you had absolutely no intention of fulfilling that?
Let me not say there was a lie in terms of RDP house. You know, Rustenburg itself, there was a scientific process where the area was studied during the period of MEC Milwa, where they drilled about 18 holes checking the soil texture of the area. And they said, the scientific report was that the area is dolomite. There is a piece of land actually adjacent to the existing area of Rustenburg. That's where actually those 300 houses, I hope, were supposed to come in. So that's when we were discussing, when I was addressing the public in the hall in Rustenburg.
But what do you mean you hoped? You either have the money to build those houses or you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's either going to happen, and if it's going to happen, what are the time frames, or it's not going to happen? Please be honest with the community.
Actually, because they have identified the land, they told me that that land is suitable for housing. I think the relevant department, when MMC Kele was doing the rounds around the municipality, they are the ones who should guide us, because I might not have answers because MMC responsible for human settlement is not here. The last thing that I can say, community leader, is that we did not have a budget for human settlement in this financial year. So which means we must wait for the next financial year to get the funding.
Which means those houses are not going to be built. All right. Again, I'm going to appeal to you once again. Please, short and sharp. And can we move the mic backwards, sideways, so that everybody gets an opportunity to ask the question. Let's move across the road there and take one from there. Then we go to the back and then we can come forward again. Yes, anyone on that side. Please identify yourself and a short question, please.
Good morning, Sakina, and thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Dennis Ryder. I'm a member of the National Council of Provinces. In Parliament, I'm also the Vaal Regional Chair for the Democratic Alliance. I think what we've had so far is the glossy travel brochure version of what's going on in Emfuleni, and I think you yourself pointed out many of the challenges that we have at the moment. The Executive Mayor has inherited a deeply troubled municipality with serious structural issues. It's been referred to province and taken under Section 139 administration, and yet for 2 years there's been absolutely no improvement. We've actually had a regression in what's happened in the area. Now, the Executive Mayor has told us about court cases that are ongoing, investigations and reports and so on. The reality is that the people just want to know, when is the power coming back on? That's the real question. When is the power coming back on? When will we get water again? Because the issue is, as you arrived here this morning, there was no electricity. Some areas have had no electricity since Friday. The impact of that is that refrigerators are off, food is going bad, appliances are being burnt out. The pump stations are not able to pump sewage, so the sewage is running in the streets. The pump stations are not able to fill up the reservoirs, people are also not having water. There's a crisis that's happening right now. Now, the issue is that MEC Maile is on record in March, 17th of March of this year. He said he's engaging with Eskom and they're going to fix up the issue of Emfuleni. Well, here we sit. How many months later? We're in November already. The electricity issue is still not sorted out. The Executive Mayor referred to the issue around maintenance as if it was something that, you know, he had no control over. Well, I don't know who's been running this municipality for the last 20-odd years, but, you know, the fact is that accountability needs to take place. The Executive Mayor is the successor in title. Accountability is real. We want to know, and that's exactly the question that we asked of the Deputy President the other day. What is the response now? How do we fix the situation now? Because clearly there isn't a plan.
Mr. Mayor, and again, let's keep it short. The electricity, when are you going to keep the lights on? When is the raw sewage going to stop spilling back onto the streets and into people's homes?
Let me start with the sewer problem. Fortunately, I visited Rasteval a week ago, and I assembled the entire team of Emfuleni under water and sanitation to say.
But it's not just Rustafal.
Yes.
It is Boipatong.
Yes,
it
no.
is Tepiso. It is all over this municipality.
I'll cover that, actually. I'll cover that. I'm just using a benchmarking with Rasteval. When I arrived in that community, I realized that sewer is coming from the yards into the street, and there is actually a dam of sewer. And the reality, when the workers explained to me, was that, Mayor, we need excavation to put new pipelines here. And I immediately called the department, and the promise was that contractors are now being appointed to go to work in these areas. So you raise the issue of Buipatong, Hirela, and other places. That is a reality that the number of the contractors that have been appointed for this period, short period, is aimed to go to clear the sewer. So Ndadezim, who's sitting here, is responsible to making sure that all processes were followed, to making sure that those 40 contractors that specializes on sewer are on the road going to clean. So that one actually, it is in there.
40 contractors, are they currently on the ground? Are they currently doing any work?
No, not yet. A procurement process had to be followed. All of them had different prices that had submitted, so price matching had to be agreed upon by the team leader, supply chain. So all we're waiting for now is an approval from the MM and the lead administrator. They should be on the ground soon. So
didn't the SANDF come in to resolve this particular issue?
Yeah, look, let me start with the electricity for Honorable Dennis.
No, let's start with the sewage problem.
Okay. The sewer, from where I'm standing, the main pipes underground are either rotten or damaged or were of bad quality work. I'm not going to lie about that. Okay. So hence we need to redo the sewer, use the right pipes, replace all the clay ones, and make sure that all the pipes that leads to our waste water treatment plants go as planned. At the moment, it's not. And that's why, the communities will tell you it's coming out.
How many wastewater plants are there in this municipality?
3 main ones.
44 pumps.
I'm not sure of the number of pumps.
44 pumps.
So a lot of work needs to be done on that. A lot of years have gone by without enough money being put on repairs and maintenance. So you end up spending more on capex than on the OPEX, because you need to redo refurbishment, replacement.
But what are you spending on? Because the problem persists. The problem continues over and over. And as I was saying, reading through some of the Auditor General reports, there was actually an under-expenditure on your capex budget in this municipality. So the mind boggles. How do you underspend on capex when you have such serious problems with infrastructure in this municipality?
And those are the things that needs to be corrected. You've been given money because you've asked for money. So use it. Get the resources to use it. You need a mixture of internal staff and outside contractors. You can't do everything alone. Nobody is able to do that. But they also need to be managed, those outside contractors ones. Some of the pipes are fairly new, and they're already giving problems.
Why? So
meaning we didn't have clerk of works that look and ensure that the work is done properly.
Why not?
Before the trenches were done. Those are the questions I'm asking.
These are the problems, Mr. Mwerani. So it doesn't matter how much money you throw after this, because it's throwing good money after bad, because you keep repeating the same mistakes over and over.
So that's the sewer. It's an urgent matter. It needs attention. It's a health hazard, and hence when we were told that there's 40 contractors who are already on the database, I said use all of them, and they must all go out there. Nobody should be given less or more. They should all go out, because we now know where those problems are, and do with the backlog.
Okay, as we wrap this to hand back to studio on the agenda, Mr. Mwerane, so the stench that meets you on the streets as you move through, you don't live with that, do you? Because I think it's totally unacceptable to expect the people of Emfuleni to live like that. So just a quick response to that question before we hand back to studio.
The reality is that I have instructed the management to make sure that this appointment is done, and I was promised 40 contractors are being identified. So that's what I do from the political office. I've given that instruction, do this thing, because I've been there, I visited this community, I know how they live. Hence, I took that serious decision to say, I cannot delay the fact that you are going to still go and go on tenders, and so do what you can do, how you do it legally, but I need those contractors in the world.
That's a serious catch-22, because that's always where you run into problems when you deviate from the prescribed process.
No, let me actually correct. There's no deviation.
We just have to wrap it on the agenda. We'll continue. But this is Blaine, where we'll park it for the time being, and we'll wrap the session up by just taking a few more questions from the community and getting responses to them. With that, back to you.
Look, Sakina, it's important discussions you're having. Come back to us
as we continue.
If you need to ventilate any other issues. It's all part of the by-elections that's coming up as well. We're discussing all the issues that the communities are facing. Remember that today is special voting and tomorrow is the big day. It's Super Wednesday, as some would call it. So stand by for more live reports from various parts of the country. Monitoring a number of stories.